Spectacular. Give me 14 of them right now.
Really? Do you know what's in here?
I don't care. Don't tell me.
Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Against the Odds. And this week, we're heading to Bloomburrow Standard to play a deck that is hilarious. We're playing some Otter Duplimancy. It was initially inspired by a deck that a viewer brought to a viewer battle stream, and they were playing Vesuvan Duplimancy, and it looked really cool, and that inspired me to try to build around this card, and the end result is really sweet. So what are we trying to do with this deck? Well, first, we're built around Vesuvan Duplimancy, a 4-mana enchantment that says whenever we cast a spell that targets only a singular artifact or creature we control, we get a copy of it, except it's not legendary. So this is a card that's existed in Standard for like 2 years now without doing anything, but in Bloomburrow, we got the perfect combo piece for Vesuvan Duplimancy in Daring Waverider. So Daring Waverider, it is a 6-mana 4/4 Otter Wizard that says when it enters, you can cast an instant or sorcery card with mana value 4 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost, and then it goes to exile. This is the card that turns Vesuvan Duplimancy from this weird value engine into a straight up Splinter Twin style combo piece where you can have this one huge turn where you make a ton of Otters and use them to win the game. The other big new Bloomburrow edition is Biza. So our deck, it's gonna fall behind early. We are not a fast deck. We're trying to get down to Duplimancy. We're trying to get up to 6 mana. So Biza just stabilizes the board, makes some fish, gains some life, and then once we get Duplimancy, because Duplimancy makes non-legendary copies, we can target Biza with stuff and make copies of it. So what is this deck actually trying to do? So the idea of this deck is we get down Vesuvan Duplimancy, and in the early game, we're kind of just stalling for time, literally. We have cards like Parting Gust for removal, Stall for Time, can tap down our opponent's stuff, 3 Steps Ahead as a counter spell, Get Lost as a removal spell. We also have like Fleeting Refraction, which can give a creature hexproof, Scroll Shift, which can blink a creature and draw us a card. So in the early game, we're just kind of really just trying to stay alive. We're killing stuff, maybe getting down a Biza to gain some life and make some fish. But what we want to do is just cast some spells, some Stall for Time, some Parting Gust, fill our graveyard. We get down the Vesuvan Duplimancy, and then we cast Daring Waverider. So Daring Waverider is going to come down, and then let's say we have a Parting Gust in the graveyard. We can cast the Parting Gust, targeting the Daring Waverider to flicker it out, but Vesuvan Duplimancy is going to make another Waverider. So now we have maybe a Stall for Time in the graveyard. We can cast it to tap down one of our creatures, our Daring Waverider, and we make a copy of it, and we get another Daring Waverider. Maybe we have a Scroll Shift. We can cast that for free from our graveyard and blink the Daring Waverider and make another copy with Duplimancy. So essentially, once we get going, we just cast our entire graveyard, target the Daring Waverider a bunch of times, make like 5 or 10 4/4 Otters, and swing in with them to win the game. We can also not go infinite, but get a lot of value with Biza. So if we're falling behind, we can get down Duplimancy, play a Biza, and then we can like Scroll Shift the Biza to blink it and gain more life and make more fish. Plus we get a copy with Duplimancy. And one of the things that makes this deck kind of work is a lot of the spells that we have to target our Waverider and target our Biza are also our removal spells. Like Parting Gust, in the early game we use it to kill one of our opponent's creatures and give them a tap fish, and then later in the game it's a combo piece with Waverider. Stall for Time, in the early game we tap down some of our opponent's creatures, draw cards, put some stun counters on them, and then when we combo, it's a way we can target our Daring Waverider. Even 3 Steps Ahead, it's a counter spell, but its second mode can actually just target our Daring Waverider and make a copy of it. Worth mentioning, if we cast 3 Steps Ahead from the graveyard, we do have to pay extra for the spree. That's worth keeping in mind. So that's essentially the plan of the deck. It's like this weird Vesuvan Duplimancy, Daring Waverider Otter twin deck. Otherwise, we have temporary lockdown because it's a necessary evil. Otherwise, we're just going to get run over by the aggro decks. Mana base, pretty typical Azoria stuff. 4 Fountain Ports because the card's really good. And that is our Otter Duplimancy deck for Standard. That's our Against the Odds deck for today. So let's jump into some games and see just how many Otters we can make with the help of Vesuvan Duplimancy in Standard. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap-up. Need some Magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. Against the Odds time, we are duplicating some Otters. It is Vesuvan Duplimancy time, and this deck is kind of hilarious, and set looks fine. A little risky that we only have 2 lands, but we got the Duplimancy. We got some spells. We got the Otter, well, and a Biza. So we have both of our creatures. See what our opponent's up to. Ores of a. Ooh, all right. Gonna do some searching of our soul. Let's see if our opponent knows how important Duplimancy is here. It might be tempting, like, so the Otter's super expensive. Even Bizas, we only have 2 lands at the moment. They might just take a removal spell. That would make some amount of sense, like they get lost or something. It really depends on their deck and their hand. All right, yeah, opponent goes with a removal spell. That makes sense. Well, we find a land, which is good. I don't know, Temporary Lockdown's a card that's, ugh. All right. I guess we discard the Lockdown. Our opponent's deck doesn't seem like a deck where Lockdown's gonna be very good. 3 steps ahead is fine. We might have to use it to loot here. I mean, if we have to counter something, we will, but we'd rather do a little filtering, see if we can find a land. Also, fill the graveyard for our utterly ridiculous combo. That one was for Tomer, I promise. Nurturing a Pixie, eh? Sure. We might have to just exile this Warlock. Yeah, I mean, we got exile. I think this was actually a slight punt, though, because I think if we exiled it with the Pixie still in the stack, I think they would have had to bounce the token. So the opponent gets a free token, but hopefully that doesn't matter. Actually, you know what? All part of the plan. That token's going to make sure we turn on our Biza in the future. Let's get down the Duplimancy, though. That is our most important piece. We don't really have, well, I guess 3 steps ahead can be a way to trigger Duplimancy, although it's not one of the easiest ways, unless you got a lot of mana. About it. Hostile Investigator. Well, yeah, we'll get rid of the 3 steps ahead, I guess. Opponent gets a clue. I mean, Biza's gonna help here. Biza should stabilize us, and we're gonna draw 3 steps ahead anyway. This is a pretty good Biza. We miss the treasure, but we get life, creatures, and a card. Not bad. Ooh, okay. Stall for Time's pretty good. Stall for Time is a way we can copy our Biza if it lives. Or we can tap down our opponent's stuff. All right, so Biza down. Yeah. Opponent goes to combat. Gonna get in. Well, let's block and block. Ugh, would have rather run an untapped land, but that's all right. Stall for Time for 5 mana, we can put the stun counters on things, and it makes it even better. I mean, we're 1 land away from Ottering. We might just stall for time to draw a card, and Hopeless Nightmare. Ooh, sure. We definitely can't discard the Otter. Let's just discard the 3 steps ahead. Opponent gets a clue, unfortunately. We'd really love to find an untapped land. Braids, okay. I mean, Braids is kind of alright. It is going to generate some value for our opponent, but we will take the beats. I mean, this is the kind of deck where we're going to fall behind in the beginning, most likely. Yeah, let's draw some cards. See if we can hit this untap land for Otters. Ooh, down to 7, these pain lands. Come on, untap land. Oh. All right. Well, we're going to discard the Anchorage since a tap land doesn't actually help us here, really. We need an untap land. Down to 5. Well, it is looking grim. If we don't find this untap land, we're dead. If we do find the untap land, it is party time. Well, let's see. Opponent gets to scry. I mean, this is really, the draw determines the game. If we hit a land, we're good. If not, we're dead. Oh, okay. I did not consider Biza. Biza also is very good here. Actually, very good. Well, this is like the ultimate Biza, right? We get literally every mode. Biza's so good. Get the fish and the treasure. Oh, we don't get the card, unfortunately, but that's fine. The treasure actually, this lets us live, in theory, and the treasure gets us to 6 mana for the Otter. So our opponent needs to empty our hand or get rid of the Duplimancy, really. Oh, I didn't think they would actually do it. Okay, so maybe our opponent's gonna empty our hand and get rid of the Duplimancy. We're gonna hold on to, well, Is the Otter? Yeah, we're gonna discard it. I don't think just 1 Otter trigger is worth it. Oh, these clues. So we're gonna get down another Duplimancy. Opponent hits us back down to 8. Something to copy the Biza would be sweet. Opponent, gonna sack an artifact. We will sack an artifact. All right, well, play the Duplimancy and play the Plains, and I guess we crack a map on, doesn't really matter, a fish. All right, stall for time that works. That draws us a card and copies Biza. So if our opponent fires up the creature land and attacks, we go to 6, 3. Whew. Tithing Blade. Okay. Wait, does that kill us? Oh, I think if our opponent fired up the creature land there, we might have been dead. We might have actually been dead if they just fired up the creature land. 1, 2. We only have 2 blockers. Block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, maybe we go to 1. Well, either way. Okay, we're gonna see how strong this Duplimancy is. If they have removal for the Biza, we're done for. If not, though, we do get to duplicate it and draw a card. Yeah, our opponent was super close to killing us. I think they were 1 point short, maybe. Yeah, I think they could have hit us to 1 with the creature land. We will also sack a land. All right. Well, let's make some Bizas. We get to play the card we draw, maybe? Also worth pointing out, this works because Vesuvan Duplimancy specifically makes non-legendary copies, so we can have multiple Bizas out. Yeah, I think we just do it now. Yeah, I mean, tap the Biza, make a Biza, gain some life, draw a card, draw 2 lands. Well, I guess we play Fable Patches just in the deck. I'm feeling a little stable, though. Now we're up to 2 Bizas. This is not like the full combo or anything, but the Duplimancy value with Biza is... we would be so dead without it. Oh, opponent's gonna go after the mirror pool. I guess that makes sense. Let's get a plains. Actually, it doesn't really matter. Let's get an island. And I think we just sack a treasure to draw a card here. We just want more ways to... Ooh, okay, that does target Biza. We just want more ways to target Biza. This actually works out hilariously well. Because that's a 2-mana way, so we can target Biza instant speed if we need to make another one. That is pretty good about it. Wow, are we gonna win this? We were so close to being dead. Like, incredibly close to being dead. About it. Gonna do a little tithing. So we're taking 1 a turn from Tithing Blade. That's kind of fine. Getting in for 1. At some point, we're gonna want to start attacking. We might be able to. We might be able to next turn. We'll see what we draw. Opponent's gonna blow up the anchorage. Sure. Well, we get to keep thinning the deck. There's our last basic. They sacked a land last time. That kind of. Yeah. Opponent's gonna stick with the land plan. Let's sack a plains. And make a Biza real quick. Is there any reason? Actually, yeah, let's just wait. Let's wait. We don't have to spend the turret. Ooh, lockdown. Yeah, that doesn't do a ton. Especially since we lose all of our fish and our treasure. We get rid of the Tithing Blade and the Pixie? I don't think we need to yet, though. Let's go to combat. Wow, opponent's gonna take it. Okay. We kind of want the Hostile Investigator to die just so it doesn't keep drawing our opponent cards. We might be able to get a blowout here too, because we can also untap the Biza. Untap and copy. So we make 2 Bizas by surprise. If our opponent goes with a big attack, we might just get them. Do we play the temporary lockdown is the question. The only upside would be getting out of cards, so our opponent can't really trigger their Hostile Investigator. That would be the reason to do it. Doesn't seem worth it though. About it. Can you beat our Bizas? Can you beat a Biza? Oh, come on, opponent. All right, gonna kill our Duplimancy. Well, I guess that means we need to make a Biza? We could change it into another creature, but then we don't get to Duplimancy. Important to point out, some of our cards can target multiple things. Duplimancy, we got to target just, wow, an opponent scoops it up. We got to target just one thing. Well, that was an impressive comeback. We didn't see the hugest combo of all time, but we were very close to that end. Biza Duplimancy got us back in it. We are Duplimancying, Duplicitying. Playing with Vesuvan Duplimancy with some Otters. We're making a bunch of Otters. Not the kind you think, though. We're playing janky uncommon Otters, not Storm Splitter Mythic Otters. This hand, hopefully our opponent's aggro. Ooh, Valiant Might Caller. I really hate that I have to play Temporary Lockdown in this deck, but there is no choice. Without Temporary Lockdown, we just get absolutely smacked by aggro. How about a Plains deck? Or any white source that's untapped. All right, we will take it. Well, this is why we play Temporary Lockdown. Out of here, 3 rabbits. I do appreciate that our opponent even has the rabbit icon. They are all in on their theme. Little paw patch recruiter. So we install for time, but then they get counters. Let's just draw cards here. I think we can afford to take a hit. We would like to find our land. All right, there's a land. Discard the scroll shift. Get down the land. I mean, in our perfect world, our opponent plays some more rabbits, and then we lock down them again. All right, Phineas. That's more oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, it's hard to play around the second one, but our opponent, their life is about to end. Well, that is why the opponent with the GGs, that's why there's temporary lockdowns. It feels dirty, but it is a necessary evil at the moment. We are duplifying, is that a word? We are making a bunch of otters, hopefully, with Vesuvan Duplimancy and some Daring Waveriders. This deck is actually super cute. We'll see how good it is, but it's super funny. Vesuvan Duplimancy is a super cool card, and Daring Waverider actually makes it kind of the real combo piece now. Plus Biza is good. Yes, we will keep the lands. So what does this hand need? We have the Otter. Warden of the Inner Sky. We have the Otter. We're gonna need perhaps a Vesuvan Duplimancy. That would be nice. Also living. We need to live for a bit. Forest. And Dusk Legion Duelist. So some sort of counters deck, I guess. If you're playing Dusk Legion Duelist, you're probably putting counters on it. Bound of Heads is down to 19. Well, we will untap. Scroll Shift. Not super helpful here. The funny thing about our deck, we have a lot of cards that trigger Duplimancy that also do other things like Parting Gust or Stall for Time or 3 Steps Ahead. Those all do the job with the combo, but also are interactive defensive cards. Scroll Shift, that's the one card that kind of doesn't do anything unless we're comboing, or at least have a creature on the battlefield to blink. Otherwise, it's just dead. All right, Dusk Legion Duelist. Opponent can't tap Warden. Well, let's see if they attack us. They need one more thing to start wardening. All right, opponent passes. Let us just draw some cards, discard some cards. Like, for example, probably the Scroll Shift. That's a good one to have in the graveyard, because it is very good once we start to go off. Well, it might be time for some Stall for Time. Stall for Time has actually not been horrible. It looks janky, but it's actually not been that horrible, honestly. We would prefer them not to start drawing cards. Hunter's Talent. That doesn't put counters on things, so I guess that's fine. Innkeeper's Talent would be very scary here, just because that's so many cards. We'd have to start killing the Dusk Legions. All right, so opponent levels up. Stall for Time. Cannot kick it, sadly, but tap down. Draw a card. 3 steps ahead, A. Well, opponent gets in, hits us. Down to 14. Land is pretty good. Land is very good. This lets us counter with 3 steps ahead and do some looting. We have the Otter. All we need to do is find the Duplimancy, and we get to do the thing. I mean, I guess we can also just stall for time again, this time kick it. Gonna depend on if our opponent has a way to put counters on. Oh, all right, Innkeeper's Talent. Yeah, let's just counter draw, get rid of it. We can take the beats this turn. Innkeeper's Talent putting a counter on the Dusk Legion every turn is going to be pretty bad for us. Let us discard a Fleeting Reflection. All right, well, we take our beats down to 8. Man, if we can find a Duplimancy. If we can find a Duplimancy, we are going to have a very sweet turn. I mean, I guess if we're desperate, we can run out the Otter as a blocker, but if we're not doing Duplimancy things, Daring Waverider is kind of pretty medium. Opponent hits us. So we're down to 7, actually. Oh, I forgot about the class. Well, play the land. Oh, they also have the creature land. All right, well, I mean, I think we just stall for more time. Just keep stalling. So if opponent can fire up the creature land if they want to, then we tap and tap, take 3 down to 4. Ibiza would be nice. Ibiza, speaking of stalling for time, Ibiza would definitely help us stall for time for a bit. Opponent fires up the creature land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do we kick it? It seems relatively safe. Tapping down the land for next turn, also sweet. I kind of want them to start printing land stun counters in Standard. I know they hate land destruction, but oh man, come on, Wizards, come on. Just like, how about Stone Rain, but with like I don't know, 10 stun counters? 3 mana, tap a land, puts 10 stun counters on it. I guess that would actually just be Stone Rain. How about like three stun counters? It is tough, I guess, because like, yeah, let's just tap these down. Tap these down, draw a card, see if we can find our Duplimancy. Avoid death. All right, well, there's another Otter. So I guess at some point, with 2 Otters, we can run 1 out as a blocker. Although it might be better just to stall for time again and tap down the other 2 creatures. Hilariously, our opponent has not been able to get a creature big enough to trigger this talent and start drawing cards. Oh, there's the Duplimancy. Ooh, okay, we're gonna do it. So we can play the Duplimancy. We can cast an unkicked stall for time to not take damage. And now we're going to make a lot of Otters. The stun counter land destruction does seem hard to balance, though, right? If you put too many, then it's just actual land destruction. But if you put too few, then no one's going to play it because it's not good enough. I wonder what the right number would be. Let me know in the comments. I'm actually very curious. Say the card is literally Stone Rain. So 2 in a red, put some number of stun counters on a land and tap it. What would the right number of stun counters be? What's that magical number that makes it good enough that people would play it? Ooh, Gold Vein Hydra. Why didn't they spend all their mana? Or I guess they're gonna level up their class? Well, tap and tap, drop to 2. Opponent hits us. Or actually, down to 1. Down to 1, that's right. Save us, Daring Wavecaller. I think there's enough spells in the graveyard that this works. They don't have any flyers. Yeah, I mean, what else are we gonna do? Well, here comes the Wavecaller. Thankfully, we have 2 non-pain blue sources. Make sure Arena doesn't accidentally kill us here. I guess we leave up a white source because it's possible we draw into a land and then could leave up removal. All right, so here comes the fun. Daring Wavecaller. You get to cast something mana value 4 less for free. So Fleeting Reflection, target the Wavecaller. And Duplimancy makes another Wavecaller. And now we can stall for time. The Wavecaller. Tap it down. Oh no. Make another Wavecaller. Stall for time. The Wavecaller. Tap down the same one, because at the end we can blink it, and it'll be untapped anyway. Stall for time. Sadly, we are not going to get to draw all these cards. I guess we could stop here and draw a bunch of cards. But I think we'd rather just make another Otter with the Scroll Shift. So Scroll Shift. So it's going to fizzle all the other spells, but this is fine. Can't 3 steps ahead because we actually need mana to play this free. All right, so Scroll Shift blanks it. We draw a card. Ooh, it's a Biza. All right, well, it's long as we survive this turn, we should be amazingly good. And we have 6 Otters. We have 6 Otters to keep us alive. Found it, untaps. And then we can Biza copy Biza to gain back a bunch of life. Wow, opponent got us to 1 to 1. Those stall for times actually worked. We stalled literally just enough to get to Duplimancy Otters. This deck, actually, I got the inspiration of this. We did a while ago a viewer battle stream over on the Twitch, and one of the viewers brought a Duplimancy Daring Waverider deck. Didn't actually get their deck list, but seeing the viewer play the deck inspired me to try to brew around it, and it is super funny. It is super funny. All right, opponent, level up that class. Level it up. You can do it. What was the reason not to fully cast the Hydra? I don't understand why they would choose. So they can't kill us this turn, but we do need to be aware of Warden of the Inner Sky gaining flying. Honestly, once we play Biza, we should be fine. Plus we have, wow, all right, opponent passes, did not tap anything. I guess they can't reasonably tap much. Let's manually tap, I guess. 1, 2, 4. Biza. Only gonna gain life, but that's actually more than enough right here. I think we just skip on attacking for this turn. We're gonna build a unbeatable board here very shortly. Innkeeper's Talent. We can counter this. We can also just let it go and then get lost it and hold on to the counter. That is probably better. The counter, I think, is more valuable. You never know when someone's randomly gonna have a Sunfall or something. Plus our opponent's probably gonna double level up here and then, yeah. All right, well, we made our opponent sort of skip their turn for a get lost. Blow up the Innkeeper's Talent. So they try to start tapping things to send the Warden to the air, but wow, they tapped the Warden? Interesting. I mean, I guess they had to tap something. Yeah, I guess, actually, all right. We'll just untap. That's fine. Wow, another Duplimancy. All right, now we really get to have fun. Two Duplimancies is wild. 3 and 4 Duplimancy. Let's do just a little off the top. We're like just short of lethal. I mean, I guess if we swung with everything, our opponent would just have to triple jump block. That might have actually just been better. I don't know. But then our opponent might die. We don't get to do the cool thing. All right, opponent blocks. Our opponent has not run a single card with those Dutch Legion Zealots, have they? They've had them since turn 2. I think it was turn 2 and turn 3. And somehow they have not managed to draw a single card off of them. Getting back the Zealot. When it gets a counter, look at that. Look at that combo. Or Dust Legion Duelist. I said Zealot, didn't I? Well, opponent finally drew a card with a Duelist. And plays another one. So many Duelists. So few counters. 3 steps ahead, copy something, and trigger Duplimancy. If our opponent goes aggro and tries to like tap everything to kill us in the air, then we can just Parting Gust, get rid of the Warden. I don't think they have enough permanence though, right? They can get up to 4 power, but not 5, so they'd hit us to 1 again. Plus, we could just copy the Biza again, too. That's another option if our opponent does that. Well, 5 Otters. We were down to 1 life. And then Duplimancy and Otters comes through. Opponent passing. Well, all right. Let's just Parting Gust the Otter. Make 2 more Otters. We are going to be missing the first Otter during our turn since we did this end step. And then we can get lost. Biza, make 2 more Bizas, and opponent gives us the GG, and that's power of Vesuvan Duplimancy. It's kind of working. Removal Biza. We're not close to comboing, but that seems reasonable. Boros. Oh boy. Well, good thing we got temporary lockdown. Here comes the Heartfire hero. Opponent Plains. Ember Heart Challenger. Cool, this is interesting. Ideally, we will take our beats here and then have the Parting Gust left over. If our opponent starts casting spells, we might Parting Gust. Might of the Meek. Ugh, yeah, I think we do it. This keeps our opponent from drawing a card, saves us some damage, hits us, and all right, Swordmaster. Well, the good news is we do have a temporary lockdown to clean up this board. Board down. Temporary lockdown, so good at best of 1. It's so important. Unless you're playing aggro. Oh, Mabel. Okay. Well, yeah, I guess we Biza. We don't get the creatures, but we get a big body. We get to go back up to 18. Opponent. Gonna equip it. Opponent. Wow, just passing? Okay. I guess we can attack. This might be even better. If we get in damage, we can untap Biza or copy Biza. Found it. Gonna go digging for a mouse. Mentor. All right, sure. We kind of want our opponent to have another creature here. Pound at combat attacks. So I think we just take the beats. And now we can just blink the Biza. Blink the Biza, make some fishes, gain some life. Draw a card. Ooh, all right. Stall for time's not bad. Well, untap. Play the land. Dual Surveilling. Fabled Passage. I think we mill it. We really want to find a Duplimancy. I think we just pass for now. Pass for now, and then we can stall for time. Tap down our opponent's crew for a couple turns. All right, they're going to move over the equipment. Yeah. Got to trigger Valiant. Well, let's kick this stall for time. Tap them both down. Stall for time is actually kind of good. Ooh, get lost too. Okay, that's a good one. I think we're in decent shape here. Let's see. Wow, no follow. Oh boy. All right, another temporary lockdown too. Well, let's go to combat. Down to 10. And pass the turn. Oh, we need, what, 2 more turns of attacking? Cheeky House Mouse. Yeah. I don't know why they would target Mabel with that, but okay. I think the Mentor would be better, right? Because then Then you get a counter on it. Ooh, I think we can copy the Biza and kill the cheeky house mouse, and we get to draw some cards. Well, we are gonna legend rule here, but legend rule the Biza, draw 2 lands, discard a land. Oh, I guess we got to keep the untapped one. That is kind of awkward, actually. Huh. Losing the non-token one is kind of awkward. Yeah, okay. That might have not been the best line. I feel like losing the non-token Biza is actually very bad for us because now we can't scroll shift. Ooh, and there's a manifold mouse. Okay. I mean, we can lock it down. Found it. Triggers. Well, let's get rid of this mentor. Oh, no. Wow, are we dead? So we're at 14. Our opponent can hit us for 18, 19, 20, 21. Well, maybe it wouldn't have mattered. What we could have done, yeah, I think we're gonna die no matter what. If we had kept the real Biza, we could have like blinked it after first strike damage to trigger and gain some life, but yeah. Well, manifold mouse down to 1. The problem is our opponent's stuff survives this temporary lockdown. Yeah, I guess we would have had a chump with the real Biza anyway. I still think it was probably the wrong line, but I don't think it actually made us lose the game. Well, somehow our opponent's mice deck going up to 3 mana rather than stopping at 2 is actually going to be huge here because we can't temporary lockdown away 3 drops. So I guess we got a desperation sack of fish. There's the otter. Yeah. Well done, mice, I guess. Ouch. That's a lot of otters. That's a lot of otters. Okay, hopefully we find a Duplimancy and get to 6 mana. Can we live long enough to find the Duplimancy and start ottering? Well, tap land, go. About it. Dismal backwater. Okay. Not sure what that means. Well, a land, I guess, is kind of fine. Bonnet land. Well, Meticulous Archive. So getting to 6 mana looking like it's going to happen. Can we get through our opponent's interaction? Counter spells. 3 steps ahead seems good. Little surveilling, little card drawing. Mills a Soul Guide. Okay, Soul Guide Lantern. I have literally no idea what our opponent's doing. Opponent, another tap land. Well, let's play the Fabled Passage. Pass the turn. We don't really need to keep drawing lands here, I don't think. And passing. Well, let's crack Fabled Passage. Grab a, yeah, whatever. Island, I guess. Our mana is basically perfect this game. Well, there's a scroll shift. What a weird hand we have here. Oh god, Union of the Third Path. Ugh. Well, that's a pretty good sign that our opponent's a control deck. There's a Mirrex. Opponent can start making some tokens. Well, more Fabled Passages. Let's just add a Carways. Pass the turn. Alright, Mirrex token. Sure. Those are going to become annoying eventually. If our opponent just keeps making Mirrex tokens. They only have 1 blue source. I don't even know how many counters they're going to realistically have. Alright, I guess we can stall for time. Some mites. How about it? Makes another token. Untaps. Well, I mean, tap him down, draw a card. It does dig us 1 card deeper in the deck. 1 card closer to Vesuvan Duplimancy. Yeah, I mean, we might as well kick it, not do anything else. Tap him, tap him. No mites for you this turn about it. I mean, I guess hitting land drops is probably not horrible in this matchup. Wow, opponents discarding to hand size. Yeah, they have stuff that is not going to be very relevant. Let's play the island past the turn. I mean, we might be able to get up enough mana where we can Duplimancy Otter in the same turn. Right now, though, we do not have any spells in the graveyard. At some point, I guess we'll hit a temporary lockdown to reset these tokens. I guess we can fire up the creature land to block, and if our opponent tries to kill it, we just scroll shift. Long goodbye. I think it's worth it. So we get to save the land, we get to draw a card, and we want the scroll shift in the graveyard. If they have double removal, then that's, I guess, annoying, but we got 2 removal spells out of our opponent's hand. And, like, tap them down, not that that really matters a ton here. All right, well, blink it, save it, draw even more lands. Wow, we've hit a lot of lands this game. Down to 18. Could use a fountain port. We got all 4 fountain ports in the deck. Just have not found one yet. Also, wouldn't mind a temporary lockdown. Case of the Stashed Skeleton. Man, at this point, we might just have to play an Otter. We have so many Otters. 4/4 is actually kind of helpful here. So we can Otter, and then scroll shift the Otter to draw a card. All right, another 3 steps ahead, and then... Yeah, I mean, I guess we cast this and just kick it and tap their stuff down. Ooh, okay, there's a lockdown. That's good. That is a very good one for the future. All right, opponent's got a window here. We did tap down. This is our opponent's turn to pay something devastating. If they can play something big this turn, they might be in good shape. We are so far ahead on mana, though. Opponent finds a creature land. And... All right, that is fine. That is fine. Gets rid of the Otter, hits us. Down to 16, but we are going to temporarily lock down all these tokens. Temporary lockdown is very good against tokens too. Good against the aggro decks and also just good against tokens. Well, let's pass. Leave up the 3 steps ahead. We still got to find the Duplimancy. We just cannot find Vesuvan Duplimancy here. Well, okay, if we're going to keep drawing lands, Fountain Port's the one we want to hit. At least that does things. Yeah, you know what, we have so much mana. Even if we end up losing this anchorage, it's not the end of the world. This forces our opponent to use their... Ooh, interesting. All right, they're going to demo field the Fountain Port. I was hoping they would demo field the creature land, which we don't really care about, but Mega Fish. Yeah, it would have been better for us if they had just went after the creature land. Well, grab a Plains. Wow, Swamp. Maybe they're actually not a blue deck. Are they playing Dismal Backwater just to gain life? All right, gonna let it go. Get in, edge ya. I feel like our opponent has something, and they don't know if they want to use it or not. Down to 25. Opponent's at 25. Union of the Third Path. What do you got, opponent? All right, so it seems like our opponent... Union of the Third Path, Cutsel's Flanker. I don't know about the Soul Guide Lander, but kind of seems like they're very sick of playing against Mono Red. And our opponent's just like, I don't care what happens in any other matchup. I am not going to lose to Mono Red anymore. I can respect that. I went through a streak where I played Mono Red, I don't even know, 9 times out of 10 matches or something. And I was tempted to do the same thing. Just play all the life gain. Just don't even care. Don't even care if you play another deck. Just know that the Mono Red players are going to have a bad time. Wow. We've done an amazing job of hitting our land drops. Kind of a over-the-top amazing job. I don't even think we want this Get Lost, honestly. We want Vesuvan Duplimancy. That is the card that we would like. I guess we can crack this map. Do a little exploration. See, Parting Gust. Well, we're going to mill that. I mean, we're doing a good job of stocking our graveyard again, which is nice. So once we find the Duplimancy, we have so much mana. We can easily play Duplimancy into Otter in the same turn. Like, we just have so much mana at the moment. How many lands do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? So we've drawn half of our... We've just, like, hit our land drop every single turn somehow. All the way up to 12. Opponent attacks with both. Well, let's get tricky with this anchorage. We still have the scroll shift, so we can do the same trick again if our opponent tries to kill it. Go for the throw. Counter and copy. Do we even care? How much do we care about this? Yeah, let's just scroll shift it. I like the idea of leaving up a counter. I don't know exactly what in specific could go wrong here, but I feel like something could. So we draw our Duplimancy finally. The question now is, do we just go for it? Do we just go for it? Or do we try to wait? So what would the risk be? We pop off, spend all of our stuff, and then our opponent sunfalls or something? Stroke of Midnight. Yeah, I don't even know if this really matters, but we probably don't want our opponent tutoring. Well, our opponent's tapped down. I think we gotta go. We gotta go. Duplimancy and... Wave Caller. Oh, this is perfect because we actually have the mana to counter still if we need to. Blink it, copy it, draw a card. Actually, we don't get to draw the card, do we? Actually, we're not gonna make that many Otters. We actually come to think we're still like gonna put a bunch of power on the battlefield, But we're not going to make like an absurd number of Otters here. Do we want to get lost? Probably. I guess we just get lost in Otter to copy and make some maps. And then 3 steps ahead, I think we'll just leave in the graveyard. All right, and then we get another one on our end step. We still got the counter up, and we still have a wave caller in hand. Hit you down to 25. Parting Gust returns our Daring Wave Caller. No reason to 3 steps ahead. All right, so we still have a counter at the ready. We don't really have lethal though. We made all that work, and we ended up making 3 Otters. Deadly cover up. Well, we definitely have to counter that for sure. Nah, deadly cover up's brutal because then exile all of our Otters. So 3 steps ahead. We still don't have lethal though. Our opponent's gained enough life, and now we're technically out of counters. Ish. Opponent. Blah. I mean, our opponent doesn't have lands. They're not playing creatures. Having another Wrath seems like a realistic possibility here. Show us what you got. Show us what you got. We can do a cool trick with the Sunfall. All right, we have a cool trick here. Parting Gust. Target the Wave Caller. We don't have a counter, but we do have one in the graveyard. Copy. Cast it for free. We can actually go all 3 modes here, too. Counter the Sunfall. Copy a Wave Caller. And do a little drawing, and our opponent scoops it up, and that was a good one. That was a really good one. Wow. Doing some Vesuvan oh boy, double Duplimancy. Double dupe. That is pretty much what we want to see. Oh, I think we gotta mill it. We need spells. That is the downside of this end, is we have literally 0 spells. Nothing to trigger the Duplimancy. Well, Edgar ways go. Opponent. Stall for time. Not the worst. Caustic Bronco. That's a little bit annoying. Our opponent drawing cards is not something we especially want to see. We would rather it be us drawing all the cards. Swamp and Mosswood Red Knight. Yeah, I don't think it's worth countering that. Probably gonna stall for time here. So we can tap stuff down so our opponent doesn't get to draw. And then we can untap and play... What do we play? Duplimancy? Let's just play the Duplimancy. Set up for the future. Hopefully our opponent... Golgari could theoretically kill it. We'd kind of want to take a little bit of damage so the Biza gains us back the life. So we don't mind taking damage here. The other question is, how long do we wait on the Biza? Do we wait until we can copy it? Eventually we'll find another Daring Wave Caller, I assume. Opponent saddles up the Bronco. Gets in. And top card is Liliana. All right, so we dropped to 17. We dropped to 15. Although the Biza can pretty much undo all of these problems. What are we discarding? It might actually just be the second Duplimancy. 2 Duplimancies are sweet, but with a Liliana out and being under pressure, I don't know if you have time to play a second Duplimancy. Well, another Biza. Let's play the land and play the Biza. If we play the land first, we get to draw a card, which is nice. All right, another land is fine, I guess. The fish are pretty good against Liliana. If our opponent wants to try to get rid of our Biza, gonna be a little trickier. Biza is such a good stabilization card. It makes it a lot easier to fall behind and then still get back in the game. And it's pretty important in this standard because there are some aggro decks. Very easy to fall behind. All right, opponent, what do we got? Manually tapping, I think you gotta do that with... Arena just loves leaving up their Field of Ruin effects. Innkeeper's Talent, well, that is scary. Once it's fully leveled up, death is a possibility at any time. It looks like our opponent might not have removal, though. Or they have, Virtue, another Bronco. I mean, we got another Biza. I think we just take it. I think being able to pressure the Liliana is more important than killing the Bronco here. Especially since we can stall for time to tap it down for 2 more turns. I just don't want to risk losing the Biza. That feels like the kind of attack you make if you have Virtue in it. Oh, all right. Glissa. I mean, I guess this is still okay. This is still okay. We'll just have to stall for time during our turn. We can stall for time during our turn. Tap down Glissa Dread Knight. Kill the Lily. Bout it. Digging up, digging up. I mean, we do want to get to land drop number 6. I think we're just going to discard the Biza. Oh, man. Hopefully we don't regret that. Opponent discards the Bronco. We want to get to land number 6 because we want to be able... Well, okay, speak of the... I was going to say we want to be able to play the Otter if we draw it, but there is the Daring Wavecaller. I think we got to get rid of the Lily. Yeah, I think we got to stall for time. Stall for time now. This also taps down the Glissa, so we don't have to worry about it blowing up our Duplimancy. So kill the Lily, kill the Lily. Leave back a fish. Well, Planeswalker 1 dealt with. Next turn we do get to do the Otter thing. We have 2 stall for times in the graveyard. Be nice if we could get a little bit more in the graveyard. We also need to be aware of the Glissa. Like, the Glissa, if it hits us, can blow up the Duplimancy, so we can't let that happen. I don't know. If I play Innkeeper Talent deck, I heavily value leveling up Innkeeper's Talent, because the upside... Oh, no. Oh, Scrap Shooter. I feel like Scrap Shooter is a card that should see more play than it does. I feel like Scrap Shooter's still a bit underrated. Opponent, Innkeeper's Talent. Well, I was going to say, I usually value leveling up Innkeeper's Talent because you want to be drawing live to like just, oh, I top deck Froskin and I win the game. That's a value leveling it up, but, ooh, wow, Nissa. But it also is hard to pass up. Thankfully, they did not saddle that turn, so our opponent's down to 9. Hitting the 7-drop off the Dark Confidant. Man, if they had saddled, oh, that would have been very bad for us. That actually makes this very interesting now. Since our opponent didn't saddle, they took so much damage that aggroing our opponent out could actually be kind of realistic here. As odd as that sounds. Scroll Shift also not bad. We can reset the Biza. Even, it would have been so good if our opponent didn't scrap shoot down our Duplimancy, but even with the Duplimancy gone, it's still pretty good. Opponent goes to 5. Can we find a way to get in these last 5 points of damage? Play the Surveil Land. Actually a very interesting game. Parting Gust, yeah, that seems pretty good. Untaps. They gotta be a little careful. They're just so low on life that if they attack too much, we could just get them on the backswing. They might not have time to level up the Innkeeper's Talent now. I haven't seen too many Nissas with Innkeeper's Talents. Nissa's a fine card, but like, look at our opponent's mana base. They have 0 forests right now. The ultimate would actually not pump creatures at all. Opponent grows the Mosswood Dread Knight. I mean, we've been talking about our opponent being low on life. We are also not at the highest life total, considering our opponent's board here. Are you gonna risk a Bronco attack? Are we risking it, opponent? Are we doing it? Get in with that Bronco, opponent. What could possibly go wrong? It definitely won't be another Nissa or an Aclazotz. You're fine. You're fine. No fear. No fear, opponent. Oh my god, they're actually gonna do it. Oh my god, please die. Please die. Please die. Come on, Bronco. Come on, Bronco. Oh, opponent rewarded. Rewarded with a forest on top. Opponent literally could have died there. Yeah, well, I respect that. I respect not having any fear there. Well done, opponent. Well, we take our beats. Down to 5. So opponent plays a land. This is gonna be close. So we can blank the Biza to make more fish. Let's see what our opponent does. If we can get around the creature land, we have lethal. Because we can wave caller back a stall for time to tap down the blockers. All right, let's try to break the Biza. Right now, our opponent can fire up the creature land to chump. Or are they gonna try to... Oh, okay, go for the throw. Actually, all right, 3 steps ahead. I think we're gonna win this. I think, wow, what a close game. Do they have another removal spell? If our opponent does not have another removal spell, then okay. If they don't have another removal spell, I'm pretty sure this is lethal, right? It should be lethal. I guess we should have probably paid a life to the Pain Land to gain life with Biza. Oops. Oops. All right, opponent. Let's see. And now they can't. Okay, Harvester of Misery. Kill the fish. Not relevant. Biza blinks. Makes more fish. Parting Gust, I guess, also does it. But we can just Fountain Port. Play the Wave Caller or Waverider. Get back the stall for time. Wow. Well, there was a good chance we might die next turn, but in the end, opponent blew up our Duplimancy, so we couldn't do the combo, but we managed to out-grind Golgari somehow. Yeah, I guess we attack with both, just in case they have like a cut down, and what a comeback. Well, This deck has played some very interesting games. Very, very interesting games, I will say. Wow. Time to do some more Otter combo. But not the one you're thinking of. Vesuvan Duplimancy. Shenanigans. And yeah, I'll try this. Color's a little bit clunky. Worst case, we can use a 3 steps ahead to do some filtering. Opponent, oh boy, mono red. Oh, well, no 1-drop at least. Opponent. Oh, Boros. Okay. Well, they might be like the Boros token control deck, actually. They could still be like Boros aggro or mice, but the fact that they haven't played anything in its turn 2 makes that a lot less. Okay, Virtual Loyalty seems like it's probably the token control deck. About it. And, well, that's Fountain Port. This should be interesting. So, the token control deck's going to have a ton of removal. They're going to have the ability to kill Duplimancy with something. They're going to have answers to everything. Pound of Heads is down to 16. At a minimum, they're going to have Get Lost. And they could even have more than that. They're going to have Sunfalls. Well, at least we're not under a lot of super quick pressure in this matchup. So it might be weird not to run out Duplimancy, or to not run out Duplimancy, but I feel like it's probably correct. Pound at Mirix is. I feel like if we run it out here when we're not ready to do anything with it, it's just going to get blown up before we get any value out of it. Pound it gets in, it's us. So I think we need to leave up a counter. We can't let Virtue of Loyalty resolve. That is a very guaranteed way to lose this game. That makes every Might token into a ridiculously scary threat. We dealt with that. Crack the Fabled Passage, grab an island. Restless Anchorage, I think we want the untap land. I think we're just passing again. Leaving up the 3 steps ahead. Leaving up the stall for time. Do we stall for time? I think we do. Stall for time and kicker. This puts our shields down, but it means we're not taking damage for a couple turns. Well, all right, another stall for time. Wow, opponent does nothing. Opponent has to have like 6 removal spells in hand. I mean, they also have this Mirix, which is popping off. Found it, Mirix. I mean, we can try to match their Mirix with our Fountain Port at some point. About it gets in, hits us down to 12. Also, sooner or later, we'll find a temporary lockdown to at least reset the tokens. Towards the tower. Well, there's one of those 6 removal spells. So many stall for times. I guess we just keep passing. Play the land past the turn. We can stall for time. Tap and tap. About it. Mirix. I guess we could also, at some point... man, I don't really want to spend the 3 steps ahead, but we could. We could spend the 3 steps ahead to go digging. Sooner or later, we're going to need that temporary lockdown. Well, tap down the dorks, draw another land. We really just need that one turn, right? If we can get that one. Oh, boy, Quintorius Khan. All right. This is looking bad. We're at 9. They have a Quintorius Khan. How do we get out of this? Yeah, we might be getting smacked. I think we need to draw cards. We need to find the temporary lockdown. Okay, no lockdown. Well, and keep on passing. I mean, we're kind of getting to lockdown or bust here. Well, thankfully we drew into another 3 steps ahead. So if we 3 steps ahead, we're at 7, 6, 5, 4, or 7. 2 from Quintorius gone. Yeah, we go to 2. I mean, I think we got to do it, though. We can't let Urbrass Forge resolve. Then we definitely... Okay. Wow, that was actually the perfect 2 cards to draw. Okay, game continues. The stall for time. So opponent can discover. Gonna hit us for 2 down to 7. Oh, Caretaker's Talent. That is a good discover for our opponent. Down to 7. Then hit us down to 2. However... we found temporary lockdown and Biza. So I think we get to stabilize here. Play the land, or at least not immediately die. If we had 1 more mana, we could do everything. We could play Biza, play temporary lockdown, and have up the ability to blink Biza, but at least we can give it hexproof. We really do want to untap with it, because then we can get another one with the Duplimancy. We got to play Biza. Run it out. So, actually, is this fully powered? We don't get the treasure, but we get the card. We get the fish. We get the lands. I guess we could just try to blink Biza and wait another turn. We're so far behind that we actually just get to trigger every mode on Biza again. Except the treasure mode. But we get the life, we get the fish, and we're like... we were very far behind here. I think this is safest. Found it. Gonna try to destroy evil. Well... yeah, that's a lot of ways to blow up our Duplimancy, but we can give a hexproof to make sure it lives. It comes back. We get more fish. We get more cards. We get more life. Back up to 10. Get rid of the Contorious Con. Ooh, Sunfall. All right. Well, I mean, I guess we can wait a little bit on our temporary lockdown now, perhaps. Ooh, can we... maybe we can get rid of this Contorious Con with our creature land. We do need to get it off the battlefield. It's a lot of value. So 1, 2, 3. I mean, our opponent's mostly tapped down, right? We do need to be able to deal with the 1, 2, 3. Actually, we can't do it, can we? We're gonna be one short because we have to not. We can't take the hit from the incubate. If we take the hit from the incubate, we die. So I guess we don't get to kill Quintorius. We get to hit it to 1, which is honestly way worse than killing it. Still alive, still making tokens. We'll hit it down to 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess we can crack the map. So I think the plan's gonna be, well, Get Lost is good. That can get rid of the Caretaker's talent. Assuming we can get rid of the Quintorius with the creature land, opponent gonna make a token. Stalling for time here is kind of good. Assuming our opponent fires up the incubate, which they gotta, right? Opponent leveling up. Because that's going to incentivize our opponent to hopefully put more on the battlefield so we can maximize this temporary lockdown. We might have to just temporary lockdown anyway. Another Biza would be good. Would not mind that. Kick it. Stall for some time. Tap down the 2 non-summoning sick creatures. Draw a card. It's the Get Lost that we knew about. And a Parting Gust. So we need to deal with Contorious, deal with the Caretaker's talent, and I guess we don't necessarily have to deal with the board this turn, but maybe? The pinch is on mana. Also, our opponent has removal up potentially this turn. So we can temporary lockdown, deal with the creatures. And then we can fire up the creature land, go after the Quintorius. I think we fire up the one with the counter so it doesn't get got by the burn spell. Hold. All right, opponent has to Get Lost. Do we kill the Caretaker's talent or go for the Quintorius? We can fire up the other creature land. If we do that, though, the Caretaker's talent definitely lives another turn. I guess the Quintorius is... man, if they kill both of our lands, that's kind of an issue. I think we got to try. We got to get rid of this Quintorius. Like, Quintorius making a token every turn is just going to bury us. All right, well, Restless Anchorage number 2, the small one. Come on, please tell me you don't also have a 1-mana removal spell. We really need this Quintorius to die. Oh, wow, what a grindy game this is turning out to be. Opponent, looking at Quintorius, looking at the creature land, back and forth, on the clock. I mean, if they have removal, they're going to cast it, right? There's no way they're not going to cast it. Well, get in at the Quintorius, make a map. I assume if they were going to kill it, they do it before we attacked and made the map. If not, it's a little awkward. All right, well, Quintorius, thankfully, finally down. We can crack a map. Ooh, all right. We might have to... man, I wish we can get him to tap down. We can have a huge turn. Opponent, Mirrex. Caretaker's talent. We can have a huge turn with Duplimancy and Otter, like a huge turn. The problem is, we know they have so much removal. We've even seen like dedicated enchantment removal. Do we just pass? I mean, we do have all these fountain ports, so we can start doing fountain porty things. I think this turn we're just gonna wait. I don't have confidence that the combo is gonna work here. Our opponent just has too much interaction at the moment. So let's get rid of the Caretaker's talent, shut down the card advantage engine. And then I guess we just start activating Fountain Port. Oh, come on now. All right, another Caretaker's talent. Well, so much for getting rid of the card advantage engine. Maybe this will tempt our opponent. What if they just go all out? They could just go all out leveling up. If they did that, we would actually... our opponents played pretty conservatively. which I think is correct, but they've also been leaving up mana very consistently. Now, 1, 2, 3. Fountain Port. Make a 1/1. Ouch. Oh, do they actually have? Wow, Torch the Tower. Oh, I see. So our opponent had the Torch the Tower, and what they were thinking about with that Quintorius turn is it worth sacking Caretaker's Talent? They could sack the Caretaker's Talent to kill the creature land, but they decided they'd rather lose the Quintorius, I guess, than have to sack the Caretaker's Talent, which is probably the right choice. I wasn't thinking about bargaining. All right, so what do we do here? At some point, we're just going to have to try to do the Otter thing, and if our opponent can stop it, they can stop it, but at some point, we're going to have to just go for it. As great as Fountain Port is, and Fountain Port is legitimately great, it is eventually going to kill us, because it's 1 life every time we make a fish. And our opponent's not losing life, and they're at 21. I think this is the turn. Duplimancy. Let's hope for the best. I got 5 cards in hand. Duplimancy. Daring Waverider. Let's see if we can make a bunch of Otters here. So, our graveyard is so stocked for this. This would be the greatest Daring Wavecaller combo with Duplimancy we've ever seen if it works. What are we going to cast first? Probably just stall for time. Something that'll draw us a card if our opponent has interaction. So they can kill the Otter, they can kill the Duplimancy, assuming they have an answer. They're reading Duplimancy. Oh, having Destroy Evil in the main is so rough. All right, well, we will tap down the fish, I guess, and draw a card. Well, at least we got a 4/4. We got a 4/4. Daring Wavecaller, pretty busted. Wow, opponent. Aggro Sunfall, sure. This game has just been a constant struggle to not die. The whole game, I feel like we've just been like holding on. And we're like slowly running out of resources. Opponent levels up. Well, okay. Get Lost is good. That lets us get rid of the Caretaker's Talent, which is a big part of the problem. That our opponent just has a steady stream of card draw. So let's make a fish and sack a map on the fish. Okay, Biza's good. We will keep the Biza. I don't think we're firing up the creature land. We're not in get aggro mode. Like, if we're going to win this game, we're eventually just going to outgrind our opponent and pull off the combo. I think that's how we win. I don't think we win by chipping in for 3 with our creature land or whatever. Opponent fires up the Incubate. We do need to keep our opponent from drawing cards if we can. All right, here comes the Dork. 1, 2, 3. Let's make a fish. Might as well block with the smaller fish. And I think we're just going to let it die because we'd rather blow up the Caretaker's Talent than draw a card here, I think. We got to get rid of the Caretaker's Talent. But I'm not going to crack a map into a land. If they had Caretaker's Talent or Quintorius or Urbrass Forge or what, like some sort of threat, they'd be casting it, right? I assume. Opponent's going to Fountain Port and draw a card. Yup. Man, this deck draws a lot of cards. I mean, Biza's going to be good here. We can even, like, I guess we can sack our fish. Sack our fish to the Fountain Port so we get the even more fish. Even more fish for the Biza. Why does Biza make fish? I've never really understood that. What does the Sunflowery Elk have to do with fish? Thing is, so if we attack, they can fire up the creature land. Would they? Probably not, but if they do, yeah, we're just gonna sack the fish. We're not gonna deal with the possibilities of creature lands and so forth. Sack the fish, draw a card. Get low enough on creature. Ooh, all right. Finally, another temporary lockdown. That's going to be helpful at some point. We're definitely going to run out of Biza, though. Run out the Biza. I mean, we have Biza, and we have ways to blink it. We will not die. We will not die, Boros tokens. We will not die. Wow. More Fountain Ports. Every Fountain Port. We have hit literally every Fountain Port in the deck. Let's crack a map. Drawing a fish is actually not bad because it lets us block our opponent's fish and not trade. Even more Bizas. I mean, I guess we keep it. We do want to Duplimancy at some point, but I mean, that's pretty good, especially with all these Fountain Ports. We can just keep sacking the fish to maximize our Biza value. Well, we're not close to dying this turn, I don't think. That's something. How about it? Mirix. Make a 1/1. I don't even know if they can attack us anymore, honestly. Eternal Wander. Yeah, okay. Well, this is going to be interesting. Wrath mode. Well, this is where the flickering of Parting Gust is actually very good. So we can Parting Gust the Biza. It won't come back until our end step, so it's going to dodge the Wrath. Assuming it resolves. Ooh, okay. And then I guess we can sack a fish. So our opponent's going to have to... Wow, yeah, this... this is going to go down as one of the least impactful Eternal Wanderers in a minute. We draw the Biza. So opponent has to leave us with the 2/2. They can keep their incubate. So opponent blew up 2 of their creatures and 0 of ours, technically. Opponent, Elegant Poller. Poller. I don't know why that word's so weird to me. Well, there's our Forge. So we do have to kill this Eternal Wanderer somehow. Opponent is kind of tapped down, at least close to tapped down. Yeah, let's just chump. We drop to 8. Wow, opponent is, okay, they're completely tapped down. How about a Duplimancy deck? How about a Duplimancy? Well, here comes the Biza. It returns. In the right timing, that actually gives us the fish before their token dies. There's the Duplimancy, oh god. Oh my god, okay. Well, go to combat, kill Eternal Wander, hit ya. Pound it. Loses their Planeswalker, drops to 16. Temporary lockdown. You know what? I think we're gonna wait. I think what we do here is sack the fish to Fountain Port, draw a card. We don't have an Otter yet, so we'd be playing Biza and just like copying Biza, which is still good. Sack the fish to Fountain Port. I think we're just going to temporary lockdown, draw some cards, temporary lockdown. Ooh. All right, drawing a scroll shift, pretty helpful here. Get rid of all the 2s and the tokens past the turn. So if our opponent tries to kill Biza, we can blink it. Virtual Loyalty. Yup. And I feel like maybe we have run our opponent out of most of their interaction now. We might have finally run out. Our opponents, in just the last couple turns, finally started tapping out for stuff. We'll just take it. We'll take it down to 10. Our opponent's going to make more creatures, I think. And then we probably are going to end up trying to blink Biza. I mean, worst case, they have removal and we can play a second Biza anyway. Well, you're going to sack the token to draw a card. Aww. Well played, opponent. I guess we should have done that. They still could have sacked it, I guess. But maybe we should have done that during combat. Opponent, going to untap, add a counter. We draw land. Down to 11. Oh, if we can find an Otter. If we can find an Otter, we might actually have our best combo ever. If we can find an Otter and somehow resolve our stuff, well, let's play the Duplimancy. See if our opponent has even more answers. I mean, we can make a lot of Bizas, that's for sure. We might be able to win even without the Otter here just by copying the Biza a bunch of times. Opponent makes a 3/1, goes attacking. Yeah, I mean, I think we copy Biza, scroll shift, make a Biza, not legendary, gain some life, draw a card, get back the Biza, draw a card. Oh, there's the Otter. I don't even know if we really need the Otter. Like, we probably could just try to copy Biza a bunch. I mean, they have stuff they can chump block with, so I guess they have the Fountain Port and a creature land, so we're not... Ooh, Brotherhood End. Well, scroll shift the Biza to make another one and get the damage off of it. So we're going to lose one of the tokens. Okay, we draw a way to give hexproof. Opponent. Brotherhood's End. Again. Well, okay, Parting Gust. The real Biza. Blink it out to the end step. Make another copy. Our opponents, man, we might be able to do it. I think if they could have killed the Duplimancy, they would have. So I actually think this might work. Pound it, land. Temporary lockdown. Doesn't actually matter because the token's mana value is the same as actual Biza's. All right. This is going to be good. This is going to be really good. So, pound it. Triggers, doesn't matter. Biza returns, sure. Well, here comes the Daring Wavecaller, and it is super late game. When a counter too. Our graveyard is incredibly full. Let's do some Otter twinning here. So, I don't even know if it matters what order we're gonna do this in. We're gonna make a lot of Otters. So, scroll shift, make an Otter. thanks to Duplimancy. And then we will scroll shift, make another 4/4. And then we will stall for time, make another Daring Wave Caller. Oh, this should not be working anywhere as well as it is. It feels like this should not be working. Yeah, opponent says nice. Yeah, it is. It is actually pretty nice. Thank you, opponent. Make another Wave Caller, and might as well play that to make it. We're gonna go all the way. We're gonna leave up mana for counters, of course, but we're gonna cast all the stall for times. If they somehow get through our counters, we actually have 2 counters, right? Because we can cast one from hand, and then we can do the, like, copy the Wave Rider instant speed trick for a second one from the graveyard. If they can somehow beat 2 counter spells and destroy our board, then I guess they get us. But we're emptying the graveyard. We are going as far as possible. We are making every Wave Rider that we can possibly make. Parting Gust. Make a Wave Rider. And then get lost, I guess. So technically, actually, we don't even have to get lost. Technically, and I lost in the excitement of all this, we could have cast the get lost first so they fizzle and resolve something else to save it. I think that would be technically the best way to do it. It doesn't really matter. We got 9 Otters. I think maybe 10. Is there a 10th Otter coming back in our end step? Get and hit you. They can Fountain Port if they want to. Wow, I can't believe we're going to win this game. Well, here comes the Wave Rider, and we will just decline. All right, opponent, 10 Otters. Can you beat 10 4/4s? Opponent, Fountain Port's down to 1. That gives them another card draw, but they don't know that we have the 3 steps ahead in hand, so I don't think they can get out of this through this hand. Opponent, Fountain Port, sacks the fish to draw a card, and temporary lockdown, doesn't matter. Although we will counter it just to show that we can. And opponent scoops it up, and that was one of the longest, grindiest games I've played in a long time. But in the end, the Otters did their thing. So what did we learn this week about Otter Duplimancy in Standard? And the most surprising part about this deck is it actually kind of works. So we went 7-2 with the deck, which is an oddly good record. I was expecting this deck to do a lot of losing, but the plan was actually like kind of effective. It turns out that Vesuvan Duplimancy in our current meta actually sticks around pretty often. We are no longer in Invoke Despair world where there's so many decks that have main deck ways to deal with an enchantment. So the plan of just kind of like stalling out and sticking Duplimancy and then comboing off worked really well. Biza was a great stabilization piece, and then we got to see Daring Waverider be a hilarious finisher. Most of the time, when we would combo, we'd make like 4 or 5 Daring Waveriders, and that would be enough to win the game. I think our best, we made 10 Daring Waveriders in one turn, which was pretty hilarious. So the deck actually won way more than I would have expected at Mythic on Magic Arena. As far as the rest of the cards in the deck, most of them are like cards, you know, we've played Parting Gust before, Get Lost before. One card that stuck out, though, was Stall for Time. Stall for Time was actually an oddly effective way to do exactly what its name says. Just, like, buy us a turn or two by tapping down our opponent's stuff, maybe for 2 turns with a stun counter, and drawing us a card so we can dig for our Wave Rider, dig for our Duplimancy, dig for our Biza. So I was actually kind of surprised at how good that card is. I don't know if it's, like good enough for other decks or not. It doesn't work really well if our opponent's going to start flinging stuff at us, but if our opponent's plan is just like play slick shot show-offs and like cast a bunch of pump spells, tapping them down is really good, and it buys us time to find the temporary lockdowns. It feels so bad to have to play 3 temporary lockdowns, but such is life in Best of 1. There's just so many of these curve out aggro decks that if anything, maybe we should be playing the full 4 temporary lockdowns. It is just the card that helps us buy enough time to set up the cool thing that we're trying to do. But all in all, Vesuvan Duplimancy with Daring Waverider and Biza actually felt oddly effective. So that is Otter Duplimancy. That's been our deck for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.